So the deadline is here for Donald Trump to post a nearly $500 million bond in his civil fraud case.
Marilyn Rivera live in Washington with more on other legal issues he's facing today. Marilyn, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Bob and Jen. So that's right, the 30-day grace period for him to pay up the nearly $500 million bond in his New York civil fraud case ends today. If he can't pay, he risks having his assets seized and bank accounts frozen. But there's also another development regarding his hush money payments case. Donald Trump returns to a New York City courtroom today for a hearing to further delay a criminal trial related to his hush money payments case after it was postponed due to a last-minute evidence dump. His attorneys asking the judge to delay the case till summer or throw it out altogether. It comes as Trump tries to avoid a financial crisis related to a $454 million judgment in his civil fraud case.
I would think that the president feels some desperation right now.
If he doesn't post bond by today, New York Attorney General Letitia James could start seizing his assets unless he is granted a stay until his appeals are exhausted. In a filing last week, Trump's legal team says he does not have enough cash to make the payment and could not get a loan despite asking 30 different lenders. His son Eric alleges this entire case comes down to politics.
No one's ever seen a bond this size. Every single person, when I came to them saying, hey, can I get a $500 million bond? Maria, they were laughing.
Despite the legal battles, recent polls show Trump in a close battle with President Biden, though Biden's team says the real test will come in November.
The jury that matters the most is the American people on Election Day. The legal matters have to take their own course.
James has filed judgments in Westchester County, New York, where Trump's golf course and Seventh Springs estate are located. A sign she could be eyeing those properties. Trump says he's willing to challenge his judgment all the way to the Supreme Court. Bob and Jen.
Right, and tomorrow the appellate court is set to hear this case, right? So how does that play into this?
Well, it's one of the options that Trump has right now, right? He's appealing this case to a higher court. So there are some options for him still in terms of how he could potentially handle this nearly $500 million bond. There's also a chance that he could sell properties, but he has publicly ruled out that option, at least for now, because he says that would cause him irreparable damage if he does win on appeal. There's also the possibility that he could declare bankruptcy, but the chances of him doing so, a man who has built his reputation and brand around wealth, there's a very low likelihood that he will be taking that option.
I know there's some question about whether he should take Truth Social public.
Right. Yeah, so that is actually going public, but he could potentially get a windfall of up to $3.5 billion, potentially $4 billion. But there's a lockup agreement here, and that prevents him from selling his shares for the next 6 months. And I've been talking to a lot of business experts who say that even with this lockup agreement, like former President Trump could go up to the board and ask them to waive this lockup agreement, but the chances of them doing so are very low because if he sells any shares, that causes the company's shares to tank. So it's not really in the interest of the company for him to do that. So that's one of the things. In addition, I was also getting this from a business law professor. They also say that because former President Trump is a majority shareholder in the company, the amount of shares they can actually sell once he is able to do so, the amount of shares that he'll be able to do so is limited within a certain time frame. So he won't be able to sell a lot. He won't be able to do it like a massive dump, for example.
Super complicated.
Yeah.
Almost like nothing's going to happen immediately today, but we'll see. Well, you know, it is politics, and well, it's a legal entanglement for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you, Madeline. We
You got it.
appreciate
Thanks, guys.